Founding father Benjamin Franklin once said, "Beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy." Think of the last social event you attended. Whether it was a night out with friends or a kickback in your uncle's backyard, there's a good chance that beer made an appearance. Beer is America's favorite alcoholic beverage, and so today I wanted to take a little time to discuss how it was discovered, how it's changed into the form that we recognize today, and the current craft beer revolution that's happening as we speak. Um, like most good things in human history, beer was discovered on accident. Um, we don't have a written record of when exactly beer was the first brewery started, but we do know that it was about 5,000 years ago in ancient Mesopotamia. And what happened was grains were left out in the rain and then began to ferment. And so, through that fermentation process, humans quickly realized that there was an intoxicating effect that went along with that. And so they just started doing it on purpose with the intention of getting drunk. Now, according to Joshua Mark of World History Encyclopedia, beer was a much different consistency than it is now. Think of alcoholic porridge. And so around the same time, the straw was invented, and what they believe is that the straw was invented with the intent to filter out the bread particles that was in the drink. And so if the invention of beer wasn't cool enough, we also got the straw. So now that we know where and when beer was discovered, I want to go over a little bit about how it changed into the form that we now know, away from the alcoholic porridge. First, early 16th century Germany, they introduced what is called the German purity laws. And according to Prost, the story of German beer, what those laws said was that the only ingredients that could go into beer are barley, hops, and water, and then later yeast was added when it was discovered. But those are all ingredients that we still use today for the base of pretty much any beer that you've ever drank. The other main change is how we ferment. So in ancient history, it was fermented in clay pots, and then we transitioned to barrels so that they could produce more at once. And now we use what is called a fermenter. It's a big, giant metal funnel-looking thing. And what's cool about the fermenter is that the brewer has more control over the exact temperature that it's brewed at, and so you get a much higher quality product. So now that we've talked about how it was discovered and how it's changed into what it is today, I also want to talk about the craft beer revolution that's happening right now. Really, it started in 1978 when President Jimmy Carter legalized home brewing. It allowed more people access to brewing, and it kind of helped with the experimentation of different ingredients and tastes. And so if you go on Google now and just type in brewery, you'll be pretty shocked at the number of breweries that are in your immediate area. I live in a small suburb of Fort Worth, and there's about 15 in a 10-mile radius of where I live. So it kind of shows how much it's blown up in recent history. According to microbrewery.com, in 1990 there was 286 breweries across the United States, and the top 3 brewing companies sold about 81% of the beer that was consumed. In 2018, that number of breweries jumped up to 7,346. And so with microbreweries, which are small privately owned breweries, accounting for 24% of all beer sales. So it kind of shows just how big in a small amount of time brewing has blown up. So no matter where you go, it seems like beer is being sold or consumed or advertised, and it's become a part of American culture. But beer is really more than that. It's a part of American history or human history. Um, we've learned about how it was discovered, how it became what it is that we recognize as beer, and also about how it's changed in our lifetime. And I hope you've learned something today. Remember, beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy.